After the longest period of war in American history, the number of soldiers being discharged for misconduct is at its highest rate in recent times. Many of the soldiers are wounded veterans who served multiple tours of duty. When they are kicked out, they lose their medical care and other benefits for life. A three-part series published this week by the Colorado Gazette features the story of several such veterans, including Army Sergeant Gerald Jensen, who had the lower half of his face shattered by an IED in Iraq. After it was reconstructed, he then redeployed to serve in Afghanistan, where he was injured again. When he got home, he faced a less than honorable discharge after he tested positive for the drug amphetamine. He asked to be retested, saying his many Army prescriptions might be to blame. But his commander refused and instead gave Jensen the maximum punishment, cutting his rank to private, docking his pay, and canceling surgery to fix his face so he could spend weeks mopping floors, picking weeds, and scrubbing toilets. This is Jensen speaking to the Gazette about how soldiers don't seem to have the same workers' compensation rights as everyone else.
If you were walking down the stairs with your briefcase in your hand and your stack of papers in your hand, and you tripped on a corner of the rug in your office building and fell down the stairs, would you expect the people that you work for to pay for your medical bills and take care of you if you weren't able to come back to work? Why shouldn't we? The reason why it's a bigger deal with us is because usually somebody doesn't jump out of a corner in the stairwell and shoot you with an AK-47 when you're at work. They expect us to fulfill our contract that we signed when we enlisted. They expect us to follow our orders. They expect us to do what we're told. They expect us to die if that's what happens. So in that contract, they agree to take care of us when we agree to serve. They're not taking care of us.
Gerald Jensen is really like an incredible story. I think most civilians would have. It would be impossible for them to imagine. He's a man who got hit by an IED while driving through downtown Baghdad, and it went right through his head, right in front of the ear, out this other side, and essentially shattered the entire lower part of his face, including his sinuses. He wasn't supposed to live. He was in a coma for months. Doctors assumed if he ever came out of it, he'd be brain dead. And the day that he woke up, he got out of bed and was walking around. And after 13 surgeries, he told the doctors, the Army doctors, hey, I want to go back and serve my country again. I want to deploy with my old combat unit. And so he did. He went back to Afghanistan, and he went to a really vicious corner of the mountains in the south, right along the Pakistan border. There, he was put in charge of a little mountaintop outpost that took fire from the enemy almost every day. He was injured there again when he was running to a gun post and fell and re-broke his face. He went back again to the United States, where he was scheduled to have many more surgeries, and he went into a wounded warrior battalion, a special unit in the Army that was created to care for these seriously wounded troops, help them get better, help them transition out of the Army. He said when he got there, he encountered a hostile environment where soldiers who were struggling with all sorts of issues were written up for the smallest things. He himself was written up for little things like not showing up to 6 a.m. Formation because he had bad infections in his sinuses. He tested positive for amphetamine, and he said to the Army, hey, look, I'm on Sudafed from the Army. Would you retest this? I think it's a mistake. And this is a man who had a spotless record before. And the Army said, I wouldn't believe this if I hadn't heard a tape of the conversation. His commander of this special medical unit said, I'm not going to retest that. That's not our job. Instead, she recommended that he scrub toilets, even though doctors were saying, this guy's too sick to do this type of stuff. And maybe most upsetting of all is while he was doing all this extra duty, he had been scheduled to have surgery to have dental implants because he'd lost all his teeth in these injuries. And the commander, he says, canceled his surgery. And to this day, he has no teeth.